The afternoon sunlight slanted through Riverside Mall's glass ceiling, catching dust motes above the clearance bins where Randy Cooper counted crumpled bills $23 until Friday. His 8-year-old son, Lucas, pressed close, fingers tracing price tags on discounted notebooks they'd come to buy for the new school week. Then a tiny hand latched onto Randy's jeans with the grip of someone drowning. A tear-streaked face stared up at him, no older than 5, dark eyes wide with the kind of terror only a lost child knows. "I can't find my mommy." The words came out fractured, desperate. Randy's phone buzzed in his pocket, his boss, probably wondering where he was. 40 minutes until his afternoon shift at the electronics store. $80 he desperately needed for this month's rent. The information desk sat across the floor, staffed by a bored teenager who'd likely just make an announcement and move on. He could walk away, clock in on time, pay his bills. Instead, Randy sank to one knee on the scuffed tile floor, meeting those frightened eyes at their level. "What's your name, sweetheart?" He had no idea that this single choice to stay with a crying child when leaving made perfect sense, would crack open something between his world and another, revealing a truth about what really matters when everything else falls away. Randy felt the small fingers dig deeper into his worn denim. Her pink dress was expensive, a small teddy bear dangling from her other hand. Lucas crouched down beside them. "It's okay," his son said softly. "We'll help you find your mom," the little girl hiccuped. "Stella. My name is Stella." Randy's phone buzzed again. He silenced it. The mall's crowd surged around them. Nobody stopped. "Can you tell me what your mom looks like?" The girl's face crumpled. "She was talking on her phone and I saw the toy store and then she was gone." Lucas took Stella's hand without being asked. They walked toward the information desk. The teenager barely looked up. "This little girl is lost. Her name is Stella." The teenager sighed, reached for a microphone. "Lost child at the information desk." The announcement echoed, tinny and impersonal. Randy waited for more. "Nothing." "That's it?" The teenager shrugged. "Lady'll hear it." Randy made a decision. "We'll wait by the big tree. Your mom will see us easier." His phone buzzed twice more. He turned it off. The choice was made. The center court opened up, soaring 3 stories with that massive tree. Randy chose a bench with clear sight lines. Lucas sat on one side of Stella, Randy on the other. "Do you like the tree?" Lucas asked. She nodded. "See that blue one at the top? That's my favorite. I make wishes on it." Stella's eyes lifted. "What do you wish for?" Lucas glanced at his father. "I wish we didn't have to worry so much. But right now, I'm wishing your mom finds you really fast." Minutes ticked by. Lucas engaged Stella in a game, making up stories about passing shoppers. Randy scanned the crowd. 45 minutes now. A security guard wandered past. "This little girl has been lost for almost 45 minutes. Can you help?" The guard barely glanced at Stella. "Information desk make an announcement?" The guard shrugged. "Parents always show up. Just wait." Randy stood. "She's 5 years old and scared." The guard looked at Randy's worn jacket. "Look, buddy, kids get lost all the time. Just sit tight." He walked away. Lucas looked up, recognition flickering. Randy knew his son had just learned that being poor meant being invisible. "It's okay, Dad. We don't need him." Randy sat back down. "You're right. We're not going anywhere until your mom finds you. I promise." 3 floors above, Vivian Hartley ended her conference call and reached for her daughter's hand-empty space. "Stella?" She spun. No small girl in pink, no dark curls. "Stella." Panic shredded her composure. She grabbed a sales associate. "My daughter. 5 years old. Pink dress. Have you seen her?" The woman's eyes widened. "No. Ma'am." Vivian was already running. "Stella, baby, where are you?" She pulled out her phone, fingers shaking. Her head of security answered. "I need everyone. Now. Stella is missing." Her voice cracked. "We're mobilizing, ma'am." Her security team materialized. They moved through the mall, checking bathrooms, questioning employees. 20 minutes in, one guard returned. Information desk made an announcement 30 minutes ago. Lost child, no description. Vivian felt rage join fear. Where is this desk? The desk was empty. A different employee hurried over. My daughter was brought here. 5 years old, pink dress. Where is she? The woman checked a logbook. No child was brought here, ma'am. Just the announcement. Stella was still out there. Check the cameras. Every angle. Find my daughter. One guard touched her elbow. Camera footage shows a man with a child matching Stella's description. Center court. Near the tree. Over 40 minutes. Relief and terror collided. Stella was found, but with a stranger. Show me now. They moved through corridors. She could see the center court, the tree, pink fabric, dark curls. Stella, safe, sitting between a man and a boy. Stella laughed. The man's hand rested on Stella's back, protective. Something in Vivian snapped. All the fear transmuted into rage. She crossed the court. Randy saw her coming, fury in every line. He started to stand. Vivian grabbed Stella off the bench. Get away from her! Get away from my daughter! Randy stepped back, hands raised. Ma'am, I was just... Vivian turned to her security team, Stella sobbing. This man took my daughter. Call the police. The guards surrounded Randy and Lucas. Randy's face went pale, but he didn't run. Hands raised. Mom, stop! Stella's voice cut through. Stop! He helped me! He was helping you find me! Vivian looked down. Stella wasn't hurt. She was crying because her mother was screaming. What? Stella wriggled, reaching toward Randy. I was lost and scared, and he stayed with me. He and Lucas. They waited so I wouldn't be alone. He promised he wouldn't leave until you found me. Each word was a knife. Vivian looked at Randy properly. The worn jacket, exhaustion. His son scared. His hands raised, ready to be arrested for helping. The crowd thick, phones recording. She'd just humiliated a man who'd protected her daughter. Words failed. Randy lowered his hands. She's safe. That's all that matters. He took Lucas's hand. Let's go. Wait. Randy paused. Vivian pulled Stella closer. I'm sorry. I was terrified. Thank you for taking care of her. Thank you for staying. Randy looked back. Any decent person would have done the same. Then he and Lucas walked away, leaving Vivian with the weight of what she'd done. In the management office, Vivian sat with Stella. I'm sorry, Mommy, Stella whispered. I know you told me to stay close. Vivian pressed her face into Stella's hair. No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. I should have been paying attention. Stella pulled back. But you're the best, Mommy. The declaration broke something in Vivian. Baby, tell me about Randy and Lucas. Stella's face brightened. They were so nice. Lucas played games with me, and Randy missed his work to stay with me. He got phone calls but didn't answer. He just stayed. Each sentence landed like a blow. Randy had sacrificed his job. Did he ask you anything? About me? Stella shook her head. No. He just asked what you looked like. Lucas said his mommy died and he misses her. I told him I'm sorry. Vivian hugged her tighter. Randy was a widower, raising his son alone, and he'd still chosen to stay. I need to make this right. I need to apologize to Randy properly. Stella nodded. He was nice, Mommy. Really nice. You scared him. The guilt twisted deeper. I know, baby. I'm going to fix it. Finding Randy proved difficult. Her assistant called electronics stores. By evening, they had an answer. Tech Plus on Morrison Avenue. Randy Cooper didn't call in. His manager is angry. Sounds like he might lose his job. Fresh shame. Randy had probably lost his income because of Stella. Get me the address. Find out who owns Tech Plus. Within an hour, Vivian made 3 calls. The first secured Randy's job. The second drafted a gratitude payment. The third got his address. Mommy, where are we going? Stella asked as they drove through progressively poorer neighborhoods. We're going to say thank you properly, and I'm going to say sorry. The address led to budget housing. Vivian parked, suddenly uncertain. Randy probably didn't want to see her, but she'd come this far. She knocked on apartment 212. No answer. She knocked again. Movement inside. Then the door opened a crack. Security chain in place. Randy looked out. Mrs. Hartley. His voice was flat. I don't want any trouble. Vivian felt the words like a slap. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to apologize. Properly. Please. Can we talk? Randy studied her, then glanced down at Stella, who waved. Something softened. Lucas, he called. We have visitors. He closed the door, unlatched the chain, opened it fully. The apartment was tiny but clean, furniture second-hand but well-maintained. Lucas appeared. Hi, he said quietly. Stella grinned. Hi. We came to say thank you. Randy stepped back. I'm making dinner, just pasta, nothing fancy. The implication, I'm poor, and I know you know it. Vivian hated that she'd made him defensive. We're not here to judge. We're here because what I did today was wrong. Completely wrong. And I need you to know I'm sorry. Not because it looks bad, but because you helped my daughter and I repaid your kindness with cruelty. Randy leaned against the counter, arms crossed. You were scared. I understand. But his tone suggested he understood more the assumption about him, the reflexive distrust. Fear doesn't excuse it, Vivian said. I made assumptions, bad ones, and I'm sorry. She reached into her bag. I called your manager. Your job is secure, and I'd like to offer compensation. No. Randy's voice was sharp. I don't want money. I didn't help Stella for a reward. I helped her because she needed help and I was there. Vivian floundered. In her world, money fixed things, but Randy was looking at her like money was an insult. Then what can I do? How do I make this right? Randy was quiet, then looked at Lucas and Stella, already on the floor talking. You can let them be friends. Lucas doesn't have many friends. Kids at school know we're different. Poor. Their parents don't set up playdates. Stella was kind to him today. That matters more than money. Vivian looked at her daughter, laughing with Lucas. You're right. And for what it's worth, I think Lucas is remarkable. The way he helped Stella, you should be proud. Randy's expression cracked. I am. Every day, even when everything else is falling apart. Awkward silence. Then Stella called out, Mommy, can Lucas come have dinner with us sometime? Please? Before Vivian could answer, Lucas added, Could Stella stay for pasta tonight? Randy started to shake his head. Lucas, I don't think, but Vivian interrupted. Actually, pasta sounds perfect, if you'll have us. I can't promise I'm good at cooking, but I'm excellent at doing dishes. Randy stared. You want to stay for dinner? Vivian nodded. If that's okay. No security, no cameras, just a thank you, and maybe the start of making amends. Randy looked at the kids, then back. Okay, but it really is just pasta, and the kitchen's too small for 2 people, so you'll have to wait. Vivian smiled. I think I can manage that. She settled on the couch. Stella climbed into her lap, and Lucas showed them his books, library books with creased covers. Dad and I go every week. It's free, so we can get as many as we want. No shame, just fact. Vivian felt something shift. Randy worked in the kitchen, the smell of garlic filling the space. Everything spoke of making do, stretching dollars, poverty managed with dignity. Yet there was warmth here that her house couldn't replicate. When dinner was ready, they squeezed around a table meant for 2. The pasta was simple but good. They ate mostly in silence, kids filling gaps with chatter. But gradually, Randy and Vivian began to talk. How long at Tech Plus? Vivian asked. Randy twirled pasta. 3 years. Started right after my wife died. Before that, freelance repair work, but I needed something steady. The desperation of single parenthood, the scramble for stability. And before that, Randy shrugged. Bit of everything. Never finished college. Being good with computers doesn't matter without the degree to prove it. Vivian heard the bitterness. She thought about her own education, the doors it opened. That's not fair. Randy looked at her. Life isn't fair, Mrs. Hartley. You know that. Good people die young, kids go hungry. He stopped, glancing at Lucas. Sorry, that got heavy. Vivian shook her head. No, you're right. I'm just finally starting to see how much advantage I've had without realizing it. The conversation shifted. After dinner, Randy directed the kids to wash up while he and Vivian cleared plates. I meant what I said, Vivian said, drying a plate. About Lucas and Stella being friends. I'd like that, for both of them. Randy's hands stilled. Your daughter goes to Street, Catherine's academy, doesn't she? Vivian nodded. Randy smiled without humor. Lucas saw the uniform once. He asked if he could go. I had to explain about tuition. The number unspoken. 40,000 a year. What if... Vivian started, but Randy cut her off. Please don't. I know you mean well, but I can't accept charity. I won't. The pride absolute. Vivian understood intellectually, but wanted to argue. Instead, then what if Stella came to Lucas's school? Just for a playdate. To see what it's like. Randy turned. You'd send your daughter to public school? Vivian nodded. For a day. To see. Stella needs to understand the world is bigger than the bubble I've kept her in. And maybe I need to understand that too. Randy studied her. You don't mean that. Tomorrow you'll go back to your world, and this will feel like a weird dream. His tone resigned the voice of someone who'd learned not to hope. Vivian wanted to argue, but words were cheap. Action mattered. Then I'll prove it. Give me a chance. Please. From the living room, the kids laughed. Randy glanced that way. Lucas hasn't laughed like that in a long time. Not since... He didn't finish. Not since his wife died. I know, Vivian said. I know exactly what you mean. They finished dishes in silence, less awkward now. When they returned, Lucas was showing Stella a wooden toy robot Randy had made. Dad made it for my birthday, Lucas explained. He used to make lots of things when Mom was alive. Stella examined it. It's amazing. My toys come from stores, but this is better because it's special. Randy cleared his throat, uncomfortable. It's nothing fancy, just scrap wood. But Vivian could see the craftsmanship, the care, the love. It's extraordinary, she said, and meant it. The evening wound down. Stella started yawning. Thank you, Vivian said at the door. For dinner, for your hospitality, for everything. Randy nodded. Lucas tucked against his side. Thank you for not being what I expected. The honesty made Vivian pause. What did you expect? Randy smiled slightly. Someone who'd never speak to us again. Someone who'd be relieved to forget we exist. Someone who wouldn't see us as real people. Vivian felt the truth settle, because he was right. That's exactly what she would have done. I'm not that person anymore. Or at least, I don't want to be. Help me be better. Randy looked at Lucas, then back. Okay. Let's see where this goes. The following week, Vivian took the day off. They drove to Lincoln Elementary, where Lucas attended 3rd grade. The school was nothing like Street. Catherine's no manicured lawns or state-of-the-art facilities. But the kids looked happy, the teachers engaged. Randy met them outside. You actually came, Randy said, surprise in his voice. I said I would. They signed in, spent the morning observing Lucas's classroom. Stella sat with Lucas, sharing his desk, participating. Vivian watched her daughter thrive, making friends with kids who didn't recognize her last name. At lunch, Stella insisted on cafeteria food. She sat with Lucas and his friends, a diverse group who welcomed her without question. Vivian stood with Randy, watching. She fits, Randy said quietly. I thought maybe, but she really fits. Vivian nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. After school, Randy invited them back. This time, Vivian brought groceries not expensive, but quality. Randy accepted with visible reluctance. They cooked together, more relaxed now. The kids did homework, helping each other. Over the next weeks, Vivian spent more time in Randy's orbit. She convinced her board to let her take reduced hours. The world didn't end. She also discovered Randy had skills her company needed. When her IT department struggled, she mentioned it. Randy solved it in minutes. "You could work for me," Vivian said, then regretted the phrasing. Randy's face closed off. "I don't need rescuing." Vivian shook her head. "That's not what I meant. You're talented. Really talented. And you're wasting it fixing broken phones when you could be doing something that challenges you." Randy looked torn. "I don't have a degree. Your company wouldn't hire me." Vivian smiled. "I own the company. I decide who we hire, and I decide paper credentials matter less than ability." Randy studied her. "Why are you doing this?" "Really?" Vivian considered seriously. "Because you showed me something important about what I'd become, and because in 2 weeks, you've reminded me what it means to care about something beyond profit margins. You've reminded me what it means to be human." Randy looked for deception. "Finally, if I do this, it has to be real. Real interview. Real qualifications. No special treatment." "Deal," Vivian agreed. "But I get to write the job description, and if you pass the technical assessment, which I'm confident you will, you have to promise to take the job." Randy hesitated, then stuck out his hand. They shook. 2 weeks later, Randy Cooper started as senior IT specialist at Hartley Technologies, at triple his previous salary. He passed the assessment nearly perfectly. Lucas and Stella's friendship deepened. Vivian arranged for Lucas to receive a scholarship to St. Catherine's not through her foundation, but through a third-party organization, preserving Randy's pride while securing Lucas's future. The two kids became inseparable, spending weekends together, families rotating between Vivian's house and Randy's apartment, which somehow always felt warmer despite its size. One evening, 3 months after that terrible day, Vivian and Randy sat on her balcony, watching the kids play below. "I never thanked you properly," Vivian said, "for what you did that day, for staying with Stella, for being exactly who she needed." Randy shrugged, uncomfortable. "I just did what anyone would do." Vivian shook her head. "No, you did what you would do. Most people would have walked away. Especially after She still couldn't think about it without shame. "You were protecting your daughter," Randy said. "I understood that even when it was happening. Terror makes us do things we're not proud of." He paused. "For what it's worth, I forgave you that same day." Forgiveness was easy. Vivian felt tears. "It shouldn't be easy. What I did was inexcusable." Randy looked at her. "Grace means forgiving the inexcusable. That's the whole point." They sat in comfortable silence. Below, Lucas and Stella were building something. "They're good for each other," Randy observed. "Lucas is less lonely. Stella is less isolated, more connected to the real world." Vivian nodded. "And we're good for each other too. You've taught me more about what matters than anyone since my husband died." Randy smiled. "You've taught me that not all wealthy people are terrible. That's a lesson I needed." Vivian laughed. "I was terrible, though." Randy's smile widened. "You got better. That's what counts." Silence again, but full rather than empty. Vivian thought about how far they'd come, how many assumptions she'd had to unlearn, how many walls Randy had had to lower, how their children had led the way. "Randy," Vivian said quietly, "I'm glad Stella got lost that day." Randy raised eyebrows. "That's a strange thing to be glad about." Vivian shook her head. "Not the being lost part, the finding you part. If we hadn't met, I'd still be that person who couldn't see past her own fear." They watched until the yard grew dark. The kids came inside, grass-stained and happy. Randy gathered Lucas, preparing to leave, but Vivian stopped him. "Stay for dinner. Stay the night. We have room, and the kids will love it." Randy looked like he wanted to refuse, but Lucas's hopeful expression decided it. "Okay, but we cook together." That night, in Vivian's huge kitchen, they prepared a meal as a team, all four, kids and adults working side by side. They made mistakes and laughed. They burned garlic and started over. They spilled flour. It was chaotic and imperfect, and absolutely perfect. After dinner, they played games until the kids could barely keep eyes open. Vivian showed Lucas to the guest room, bigger than his entire bedroom. "This is like a hotel," he breathed. Stella grabbed his hand. "It's better because you're my friend." They said goodnight, tucking them in separately, then reconvened in the living room. Randy looked uncomfortable in the luxury, but less so than months ago. "Thank you," Randy said, "for all of this, for seeing past what I expected you to see." Vivian settled on the couch. "Thank you for letting me, for giving me a chance to be better." They talked late, sharing stories about their late spouses, about grief, about raising children alone. There was something healing in being understood. Eventually, exhaustion caught up. Randy headed to the guest room, pausing at the door. "Vivian," he said, using her first name for the first time, "I meant what I said before, about grace. You gave me grace when I needed it with the job, with Lucas's education. I want you to know it mattered." Vivian felt her throat tighten. "You gave me grace first. When you forgave me, everything else grew from that." Randy nodded. Then he went to bed, and Vivian sat in her quiet house, marveling at how full it felt now. The next morning, Stella bounded in at dawn. "Mom, Lucas's dad is teaching us to build birdhouses this weekend. Can we get wood? And paint?" Vivian smiled, pulling her daughter into bed. "Yes, baby. We can get whatever you need." Stella snuggled close, chattering about designs. Vivian held her and thought about Randy, probably having this exact conversation with Lucas. Two single parents, raising good kids, building good lives, proving that family wasn't about structure or wealth, it was about showing up for the people who needed you. 6 months after the mall incident, Hartley Technologies announced a new initiative, a training program for talented individuals without traditional credentials. Randy's idea, born from his own experiences, Vivian championed it internally. The program's first cohort included a former mechanic, a self-taught programmer, and a single mother who'd learned coding through free online courses. Randy ran the program, teaching evening classes. Lucas and Stella often came, doing homework in the corner while their parents worked to create opportunities. The program's success exceeded projections. Within a year, all 10 students from the first cohort secured full-time positions. The second cohort had 50 applicants. The third had 200. Media outlets praised Vivian's progressive approach. What they didn't know was that it had started because a man with no degree had chosen to stay with a lost child. Lucas thrived at Street, Catherine's, making honor roll, joining robotics. Stella blossomed with his friendship. The two families spent so much time together that people assumed they were related. Neither Vivian nor Randy corrected these assumptions. They were family now. One Sunday afternoon, almost a year after that terrible day, Vivian and Randy took the kids to Riverside Mall. First time any had been back. They stood in the center court, looking up at that ridiculous tree. "I hated this place," Vivian admitted, "after what happened." Randy nodded. "I avoided it too. Didn't want to remember losing my job, or being accused." He glanced at Vivian. "Or being accused of something I didn't do." "I'm sorry," Vivian said for probably the 100th time. Randy bumped her shoulder. "I know, and I've forgiven you, also for probably the 100th time." The kids ran ahead, Lucas pointing out where they'd sat, telling the story with dramatic flair. Other shoppers walked past, oblivious to the weight this place held. "Do you think things happen for a reason?" Vivian asked. Randy considered. "I think we make meaning from what happens. That's not predestination, but it's not random either. We chose to make something good from something terrible. That's our choice, not fate's." They bought the kids ice cream, a simple indulgence that felt momentous. They sat at the same table where Randy had counted his last dollars. I'm proud of us, Vivian said quietly. For getting here. For becoming this. Randy smiled, watching their children. Me too, even if it started with the worst day of my life. Vivian touched his hand briefly. Mine too. And the best. As they left, Randy paused. Thank you. For everything you've done for me and Lucas. For the job, the scholarship. Vivian cut him off. Don't. You earned everything. The job, the respect, all of it. You earned it long before you met me. I just finally gave you the chance you deserved. Stella interrupted, tugging Randy's hand. Can Lucas come home with us? We want to show him the new game. The adults exchanged glances. Yes, Vivian said. Lucas can come home with us. And that word home encompassed both her house and his apartment. Home had stopped being a place and become the people you chose. That evening, as they prepared dinner again, Vivian thought about all the things that had to align for this moment to exist. Stella getting lost, Randy choosing to stay, her terrible accusation, the forgiveness, every moment necessary, every choice building, creating something neither could have predicted. Life wasn't fair, Randy had said that first night. But sometimes, if you were lucky and intentional, you could take unfairness and transmute it into grace. The kids set the table without being asked. Randy chopped vegetables while Vivian stirred sauce. The evening light slanted through windows, the same quality that had filtered through the mall's glass ceiling that terrible, wonderful day. I have a confession, Randy said suddenly. Vivian looked at him. What? Randy smiled, embarrassed. That first dinner, when you offered to stay and eat pasta with us? I almost said no. I almost told you to leave because I was too proud to let you see how little I had. He paused. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I let you in. Vivian set down her spoon. I'm glad too, more than I can say. They stood in her kitchen, this man who'd had nothing but gave everything, and this woman who'd had everything but knew nothing, and between them was understanding, partnership, family. Not romantic, neither were ready for that, but something equally valuable. True friendship forged in fire. Two unlikely beginnings, Vivian said, raising her spoon. Randy laughed and clinked his knife. And even better endings. But it wasn't an ending. It was another beginning in a series that would continue as long as they kept choosing each other, kept showing up, kept extending grace. The kids called them to dinner. They sat at the table, this blended, chosen family, and held hands while Lucas said grace, thanking God for food and friendship and second chances. As they ate and laughed and planned for tomorrow, Vivian caught Randy's eye. He smiled. I see you. I understand you. I'm grateful for you. She smiled back. The kids were oblivious, lost in their world of inside jokes. But the adults knew exactly how precious this was, how easily it could have been lost, how many choices had brought them here. Outside, the sun set, painting the sky in gold and amber, the same sun that had filtered through the mall's ceiling, the same light that had witnessed a terrible accusation and a quiet forgiveness, the same light that now blessed this table, these people who'd learned that sometimes the worst moments contain the seeds of the best ones if you're brave enough to stay, humble enough to apologize, and gracious enough to forgive. And somewhere in the city, other people faced their own crises. Other children got lost. Other adults had to decide between self-interest and compassion. Vivian thought about them, hoped someone was choosing to stay, choosing grace. Randy had taught her something fundamental, that kindness costs nothing but is worth everything, that the measure of a person isn't what they have, but what they give when giving is hard, that we're all one crisis from needing grace, so we'd better practice extending it freely. Mom, Stella said, pulling Vivian from her thoughts. Lucas wants to know if we can go camping soon? Vivian looked at Randy, who shrugged in that, yeah, sounds good way. Camping sounds perfect. We'll make a plan. And they would. They'd make plans and keep them. They'd show up for each other. They'd continue building this strange, beautiful, necessary family born from the worst day of their lives and become the foundation of their best ones. Later, after the kids were in bed and Randy was gathering his things, he paused at the door. "Vivian?" She looked up from loading the dishwasher. "Yeah?" Randy struggled with something, then said simply, "I'm glad you saw me that day. Really saw me. Not many people do." Vivian felt tears prick. "I almost didn't. I almost looked past you completely. Thank you for not letting me." Randy nodded. Then he left, and Vivian finished the kitchen, thinking about visibility and invisibility, about who gets seen and who gets overlooked, about her responsibility to look harder, to see better. She thought about Randy driving back no longer desperate, but still choosing to live modestly, to prepare for uncertainties. That was another lesson. That wealth wasn't security, and real stability came from knowing you could survive anything because you already had. She thought about Lucas, asleep upstairs, and how far he'd come. She thought about Stella, who now understood privilege was a responsibility. Most of all, she thought about that moment when everything hung in the balance, when Randy could have walked away and no one would have blamed him, when she could have stayed trapped in fear and never seen the truth, when forgiveness could have been withheld, but none of those things happened. Against all odds, they'd found each other. They'd built something real from something broken. They'd proved transformation was possible. Vivian turned off the lights. Pausing to check on both kids, Lucas and Stella sprawled in their rooms, sleeping deeply, unburdened by what-ifs. They just knew they were loved, they were safe, and tomorrow their best friend would still be there. That was enough. That was everything. As Vivian climbed into bed, she sent a text. "Thank you for today. For every day." Randy's response came quickly. "Right back at you. See you tomorrow." And they would. They'd see each other tomorrow and the day after, because that's what family did. Not the family you were born into, but the family you chose, the family you built from kindness and crisis and the conscious decision to keep showing up even when it was hard. Vivian fell asleep thinking about that terrible, wonderful day, about the crying child and the man who stayed, about the accusation and the forgiveness, about how the worst thing became the catalyst for the best thing. She dreamed of light filtering through glass, of small hands holding tight, of the moment when fear gave way to trust and trust became something more. And in her dreams, as in life, the story had a happy ending not because everything was perfect, but because everyone had chosen to make it so.